want to thank everybody who's been with me, my Xbox clan.
When Kobe's going back to play Madison Square Garden, and he's like, hey, hook me up with dinner with Heath Ledger.
Like Russell Westbrook, that was a great feat the other day. I couldn't even tweet it out.
It's Coach Frank Vogel here, full of enthusiasm and positive energy.
Well, first of all, you don't smoke peyote.
And there was a couple games where I was at a hookah lounge. That's the truth. I wasn't smoking hookah, but I was there.
There was a time when the Israelites were wandering in the desert, and all of a sudden, bread came down from heaven. That's kind of what today feels like to have KCP join.
Welcome back to Bulls vs. Blazers. You can find us, as always, on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, anywhere else that you can find podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, all of that.
That's right.
Sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/BullsVBlazers. $3 a month. You get an extra episode per week. Shout out to the family.
Shout out to the family.
Sean Highkin, Erik Gundersen. What's good?
Dude, shout out to his family. Shout out to our family.
Shout out to the president, the former president, and his family.
Yeah, shout out to Kyrie Irving and Ernest for buying George Floyd's family a house. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did the David Guetta shout out to his family, except in material form.
Yes, he did. Exactly. That is exactly what he did. And then it was MLK Day this week, so another lots of shout out. It was a big week for shout out to his family on the internet this week. There was a lot of that, I felt like.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought it was a nice touch today at the inauguration. I didn't watch any of it, but I heard that they got David Guetta to perform the George Floyd shout out to his family tribute song with the MLK drop. So I thought that was pretty powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I think people did that on Twitter. I watched the inauguration. That did not happen, but it would have been nice.
How was it?
It was long. I mean, Amy Klobuchar was like the MC, and it was actually kind of funny, just because she's like I don't know, and the poet, I'm blanking on her name right now. Let me look this up right now. She was incredible. Her name is Amanda Gorman.
Shout out to her family.
Yeah, shout out to her and her family. She had a great, an amazing poet. She kind of stole the show. J-Lo put on for the Latinx people.
Shout out to J-Lo. Shout out to A-Rod.
She said, like, talking about, liberty, that we're, the America is the land of liberty and freedom and all that stuff. And she said it in Spanish. And then she also said, let's get loud really loudly while she was singing America the Beautiful, which was just like a peak Latinx culture moment. Like, I just loved that. Like, she just stole the show for just
stealing
2
the show with her own song.
Yes, exactly. Like, interrupting America the Beautiful to say, let's get loud. Because she was that hyped on Trump not being the president anymore.
Well, they should have had the David Guetta thing. They should have, Kamala is part Indian, so they could have had Anjali World perform. I think that would have been
that would have been appropriate, I think, to bring Anjali World into the fold. I mean,
Maggie Rogers had Cardi B perform.
We love Cardi B, friend of the show, Patreon subscriber, but we did not have isn't Maggie Rogers going to be there?
I don't know if she is.
Like
I don't know if she is.
Wasn't she included on like a playlist or something? Like she was included. Like
she was on Obama's playlist.
That's right. Of course, she was on Obama's. I mean, she's Maggie Rogers. She's the queen.
I don't remember which song, but
right. Of course. But anyway, I don't remember which one either. But it was fine. It was good. I mean, it happened. It was over. It got
He's
done.
Gone.
He's gone. Like, that's the best part. Like, I was just like, yeah.
Shout out to his family.
Yeah, shout out to his family. He went out like Stan Chera.
QAnon went out like Stan Chera too, like as a movement. You see all those like screenshots of like the QAnon forums that were like
they're just in meltdown mode. Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, some of them are in meltdown mode, but then like the guy who was like the moderator of like the QAnon forum that some people think actually is Q came out and was like, "Well, we did our best. We just got to move on now."
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well. All right. Shout out to their families. Hopefully, they can be back with their families and. Relax a little bit on the QAnon conspiracy stuff. But yeah, dude, like
shout out to Gordon Hayward. I know this is probably a difficult time for him right now.
Yeah, I hope Dwight Howard also. Shout out to Dwight, who is also following a lot of Q accounts.
Michael Porter Jr. I know is kind of a Q guy.
Yeah, so just shout out to all of them. Yeah, I know they're taking today hard.
Shout out to Tillman Fertitta. This is also rough for him.
Yes, his boy is no longer in the office. I mean, shout out, to the DeVos, the Orlando Magic owners. Kelly Loeffler, shout out to her family. I mean, she's losing.
Oh, yeah, she's gone.
The Atlanta Dream are being sold.
Do we know if it's the LeBron group yet? Because LeBron, like the night of the Georgia elections, LeBron tweeted about wanting to put together a group to buy the team. I don't know if he was able.
There was a guy. Maybe he already had it in the works, but there was also a guy who's like a part owner of the Warriors that was like, "Yeah, I'm in too," and it was like,
and then is he going to try to like move the team to the Bay?
No, I don't know. Maybe that. I mean, that would kind of suck. That would suck for Atlanta, but like the Bay doesn't have a WNBA team.
They should just do expansion, right? Bring back the Portland Fire, have a team in the Bay, have a team in like Philly.
The Bay absolutely though has to get if they're playing in San Francisco, those players are gonna have to get paid double at least.
Well, or they could just play at Oracle. Put a team back in Oakland.
That's true. They could do that. Yeah, they could.
It's a smaller arena. Like most of these WNBA teams don't play at the NBA arena because they aren't going to like I know in Chicago the Sky used to play out at the DePaul Arena out in Rosemont, but now they play at the new DePaul Arena, which is downtown. They didn't play at the United Center.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I know.
I think the Liberty play at Barclays now, but like a lot of the teams, like I know that the Mystics play at like the Georgetown gym or something like that.
A lot of times they do that. Yeah, or like the George Washington University gym.
Sure. So yeah,
they're one of the many schools that are there in DC. But I think that expansion would be cool. But yeah, that I think could be possible for sure. Absolutely. I mean, shout out to the Sparks though. I mean, they have a pretty big fan base, and the Aces also. Yeah. They pack their gym at MGM Grand, pretty frequently. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that go to those games, and I'm glad that Kelly Loeffler's getting up out of here. Good for her, and good for the WNBA. And
well, I mean, it's good for her in the sense of like selling the Clippers was good for Donald Sterling because he made $2 billion off of it. So He got paid, but he's not involved in the NBA anymore. Kelly Loeffler's going to get, I mean, obviously WNBA teams don't go for what NBA teams go for, but she's going to get some money out of it, but she's also going to be out of our lives effectively.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good thing for all of us, which we can all celebrate that. And yeah, dude, I mean, I'm just happy that Trump's not the president. I'm happy that Biden made it to, he made it to the fucking...
There wasn't a attack on the inauguration today. Like there was talking about, my sister lives in DC, mm-hmm. and she was talking about how like she and her boyfriend who she lives with were just like not trying to be like going anywhere this week because there was just so much like military presence and police presence, and it was just everybody was just really stressed out. So the fact that they got through it and there wasn't like an incident and Trump just like went back to Florida and just kind of went out sad,
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, it's good. Today's a good day. Today's a good day. I think we can.
My dad's also getting his first shot today.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a good day overall. Not a great day, though, again, in the NBA as another postponement has hit because of the coronavirus and contact tracing, including now the Blazers and Grizzlies game tonight that was scheduled to be played in Portland because the Grizzlies, they canceled shoot-around earlier, and they are contact tracing, and Valanciunas was already in the health and safety protocols, and there were some people wondering why the rest of the team was not in the health and safety protocols, and now they are, it seems, in the rest of their team is in the health and safety protocols.
Well, it's okay, though, because the NBA just sent a memo to teams saying that they're going to be stationing team security at midcourt to dissuade hugging and handshakes. This is according to Woj.
Okay, good. Yeah. It was so funny. Like watching all the games ever since they made like some of those new updates and seeing everybody just like hugging after games like they normally would and all that. Like it was just, I I get it. I mean, I get they've been leaning on each other the whole game, breathing on each other the whole game. They probably don't think it's anything. They're just playing basketball, and I just think maybe it's just kind of hard right now, and I don't know how much this is that they're traveling more and that it's not a bubble, or how much of this is still residual effects of the holidays, or just the fact
they're
that
too worried about optics to just get everybody vaccinated right now. They're worried that like the same people on Twitter that were mad that they were even doing the bubble are going to get mad if they get the vaccine too soon, and that's why they haven't done that yet, even though that's clearly the thing they should do. Just get all the players taken care of like this week.
Yeah, they should do that, and they could easily do that. I mean, and hopefully now that I think part of the concern has been that in a lot of places, elderly folks haven't been able to get their vaccines. And those are issues with the federal government that hopefully now with a new president will be less big of issues. Then maybe if they can get all those folks vaccinated and the NBA, I don't think it's a problem. And I just think, obviously healthcare workers are need to get it first, and then, the elderly folks. But it's been slow for those folks, so I see why those people are mad. I just don't necessarily know if how connected those two things would be. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the doses exist. It's just the distribution is the part that's been a disaster, and it's also to me, it makes such a small. It's it doesn't even to get everybody in the NBA, all the players, coaches, staffers, whatever.
I mean, the players is 450 players, so that's 900 doses.
Yeah, it's
that doesn't move the needle nationally on getting the rest of the country vaccinated.
No, it doesn't. It's basically just they're worried that people are, going to tweet about how, the rich athletes are skipping the line. That's really why they're not doing it. And I saw yesterday that Adam was at some conference, and he said that they've talked about doing it as a PSA to tell people to trust the vaccine. And to me, that's like a trial balloon. They're trying to put that out there and slowly kind of start to set people's expectations that the players are going to get the vaccine within the next month. And then once they do, maybe there will be less, people mad about it.
I think once again, we need to turn to our good friend David Guetta for advice for the NBA. And his advice heading into 2021 was get the vaccine. And so, I think in his honor, in the honor of our man Guetta, they should get the vaccine. And again, as we're saying, it's not making a footprint on the rest of the country getting vaccinated. And
no, it's not. And if anything, from a pure safety standpoint, a group of people whose job is flying around the country to play a contact sport, getting them vaccinated is maybe not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. Also, people that are playing a contact sport that have that provide a lot of great entertainment for people and things for people to do when everyone's stuck at home. And that's a nice thing. That's an important thing that the NBA has been able to do, frankly, since the bubble started. I just, it makes sense to me. And then that's without even considering the jobs that are created by the league outside of just the
ours included.
And then also people who, even though there's less of them, it's people who work security at the games and people who work in the parking lot. And it's just there are, and then if there are fans, people who work at the concession stands and those are jobs. It's just and so that people are going without right now. And so it's just there's just a lot of reasons. Yeah. And of course our jobs, which are, tonight I'm losing, even though, I'm not going to be mad to stay at home because I've been working a lot lately, but selfishly, but I'm not getting a check tonight. And so, you know what I mean? That's the consequences of not having games.
Yeah, and I mean, this whole time, I've been pretty agnostic about, the league should or shouldn't cancel the season, or they should or shouldn't do this or do that. I haven't really taken a stance on what they should or shouldn't do, because I don't want to seem like I'm just somebody who's selfishly arguing that they should keep playing just because, it's good for my job and it's good for my bank account. But I mean, and to me, it's like they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and there's nothing that anybody who is for it or against it can really do about it.
True.
But if they're gonna do it, if they're gonna keep playing, and it seems like they're gonna keep playing, it's not close to me to a point where they're gonna actually shut it down. And since it is not close to a point where they should shut it down, these guys are flying all over the country and doing this. Like, maybe just get them the shot.
Yeah, and also, maybe if they get them the shot, I don't know how this works, but like maybe they get some of their freedoms back on the road, right. So the guest restrictions could lift if the league is no longer at risk of getting the virus. Like, that is number one concern. And also, like, I mean, I think Baxter Holmes wrote a story on ESPN about how, like, overworked NBA, like, medical staffs are right now.
Yeah. Because they have to deal with, like, COVID, like, compliance stuff now in addition to what their normal jobs are.
Right, which is performance, like health and performance. And now everything is about health and safety. And so that's the only thing they can really focus on. And, they're worried about not having the best care for their players and what have you. And it's like,
seeing a lot of injuries lately.
I mean, yeah, we have seen a lot of injuries lately across the league, especially here in Portland. With Nurk going down and having surgery, and then CJ having a hairline fracture in his foot and being out for a month. Like, that sucks. But those were kind of, I think both of those are kind of freak accidents more so than but there are guys like, there have been a lot. I mean, Fultz, there was just so many guys that have had bad injuries already that, I mean, it's tough. And I wonder if the not just the effect it will have of not the risk of not having the virus, like just how many benefits that could give the league and the game. I mean, honestly, the season hasn't been that great. Like, these games, frankly, have not been very good. Like,
this season has been awful. I honestly, like, there have been some nights where, the games, there have been like really good games, like MLK Day. Like,
yes.
All three of the TNT games. The Phoenix Memphis game was good.
Which I wonder if they just like skirted on the Memphis game that night because they were like, we're not fucking up the national television schedule, and now they are reaping what they sow because of the lack of the contact tracing. But yes, all three of those games kicked ass.
The Nets game, the Nets Bucks game was awesome, and then the Warriors had that huge comeback against the Lakers. Like, those games were awesome, but honestly, most nights at this point so far during the season, I find myself like, I don't really watch full games anymore. I mostly just like, I'll turn on one game where I like, on paper, I like the matchup, and then that game turns into a blowout, so I'll just like click onto something else. And then honestly, there are going to be some nights where there's not a matchup that I like, and so I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to watch something else tonight, or I'm just not going to watch any. Like, I can just, I'm good. Like, I don't need to watch. Like, it's like the opposite of what the bubble was, because the bubble was so like. First of all, it was only the good teams that even went to the bubble, so all the games were good, and they had it sealed off, so there were no positive tests, and so everybody had all their guys healthy for the most part. So there was, a lot of, the games were really good, but now it's just, not just because of like teams being shorthanded, but also teams having like lower, less training camps, so guys aren't playing on back-to-backs. It just hasn't been very good, but I kind of expected that to a degree, honestly. I just sort of was. I've been in this mode. I'm in the same mode that the NBA is in the whole time. Just get through this season, get it done in one piece, and then next season we'll, hopefully everything is going to be back to.
Yeah. Well, one of the weird things too that you meant. It's funny that you mentioned that the bad teams weren't there. It's that the good teams have been bad. Like, that's another thing. Is like teams that we expected to be good have been shitty. Like,
Miami's like 5-8 right now.
Miami's bad. They just, they got their asses beat by Detroit over the weekend. Like, that was bad. Toronto is still bad. Like, they are still struggling, even though they've won 3 straight. Like, they're 5-8, like they're still really low. You have
Denver's still not great.
No, Dallas is like a disaster right now. Luka is putting up crazy numbers and they're not winning games. And I think the same goes for Jokic. I was looking at the NBA MVP award tracker that they have on Basketball Reference, and right now, like, and I think if the Nuggets are a better team and finish higher that this could happen, they have Jokic's MVP probability at 46.9% right now.
Is that the highest?
That's I think it's the highest that anybody's had all year, even though I would say on my personal ballot, I'd probably have LeBron and, maybe Embiid, because their teams have been great. And then, Durant. And then Jokic. I think Jokic and Durant. I mean, Durant has been amazing. The Nets.
How are you feeling about tonight? Because Kyrie's supposed to be back. I don't want to talk about the Kyrie absence stuff.
There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, but he's playing tonight. Harden and Durant together have looked incredible the first two games.
Yes.
How are we feeling about the three of them together?
I think they'll figure out a way to make it work. I think Kyrie will figure out a way to make it work. I just think they're going to be really bad on defense. There's going to be even worse on defense. It is really the issue. And I think Drummond is going to go ham tonight and Allen too. They're just going to have a lot of guys at the rim. This is kind of a fun game also, because it's the trade happening, and maybe Drummond ends up in Brooklyn as well if they release him. I do love this game. I think it'll work out. I do think Kyrie being back is going to hurt their defense a lot though. That's really the big issue I see. I think he'll be able to figure it out on offense, just because it seems like Harden isn't just standing and watching when he doesn't have the ball, which is a huge thing to not have to worry about.
So you're going to have Harden be the third option and play him off the ball.
No.
Kyrie can't be the third option because, Kyrie can play off the ball. He did some of that with LeBron when he was in Cleveland, but he didn't like that. He wasn't happy doing that.
No, but he dealt. I mean, this is what you have to deal with, I think, if you want to win a championship, and this is where it's at. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it could be a complete disaster, though, and it may not work at all if Kyrie just stands there, if Kyrie doesn't move off the ball well. I mean, I when I talk about Harden, he was chasing down rebounds. It looked like he was engaged. It looked like he was doing more of the little things in these first couple of games with KD. And that has been encouraging to watch, and maybe makes it so whatever Kyrie does, it's not, if he's not doing perfect off-ball movement and really attracting another defender on the backside. But I think he will a little bit, just because he is Kyrie Irving. People respect that. It's just you can't just leave him open.
So here's what I'm worried about. I just feel like their offense is already so good that, you add another guy like Harden, how much better can your offense be than it was? Their problem wasn't that they didn't score enough or that they didn't have enough shot creation. Their problem was that they couldn't defend anybody, and now they've gotten arguably even worse at that. Let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say that there is a franchise that has two shadow GMs. One of them has 2 phones. One of them has 3 phones. And so you think on paper, if they combine their phones, you've got 5 phones working, and that's just going to be so powerful, and they're going to be the best front office in the league.
Right.
But in reality, they make a whole bunch of questionable decisions. They don't match the Bogdanovich offer sheet. They have players' dads asking for them to be traded, and that becomes a whole thing. I just worry that this Nets star trio is combining too many phones. They're combining too many people who have the same skill set, and it's going to be a little bit redundant.
I do understand the concern. I definitely think there is a bit of a redundancy, and also a real an even worse lack of defense.
Who's the best defender on the Nets right now?
Durant.
Jeff Green.
Durant. I would say Kevin Durant is their best defender at this point.
Yeah, I guess, but he's and I guess maybe the idea is that he has to do so little on offense now because they have those other two that he can focus more on defense. But him off a torn Achilles being your best defender, I'm just I know he looks amazing on offense with the torn Achilles. I worry that if he has to do too much on the other end, what's that going to do during the playoffs in terms of how he's going to hold up and all that.
Well, I still do believe that's why I also like this matchup, because of the Drummond angle, is because they still need a center. They really do. Alex Len just got waived. I mean, maybe they take a 10-day on him. They just need a big guy. I think they just really lack that. I know that Durant can be a 5, and also, Jeff Green can play the 5 at times, but like that's not sustainable, and it's also not going to be sustainable for their bodies. As you mentioned, the concerns about Durant holding up are real. I think like it's not. We're not just being devil's advocate here. It's an actual concern.
Yeah. So, how are we feeling about the Blazers in light of the injuries and it's not great.
No, it's not. It's not good. It's great that they have Dame. Like, that's what I can say, is that Dame is not going to let this team be uncompetitive. Like, they're going to be in a lot of these games. And it's just, this is part of, we loved what Olshey did. I loved what Olshey did this regular season. But the one thing that everyone was saying before the regular season started, just looking at the roster, was what's the situation at backup point guard? Because we've seen CJ do it, and that's fine. But we've also seen Shabazz do it, or just another competent point guard, and let CJ kind of be a shooting guard, and how that can open things up, and how having 3 really good guards that can do stuff for you also just gives you another dimension. And like, they really don't have that. And it's, but
Neil Olshey said that Anthony Simons is the backup point guard.
Yeah, man, dude, Anthony Simons is not a point guard. Anthony Simons is like, he's just not ready, man. Like, it's just, it's unfair to him at this point. Like, more than anything, I think it's unfair to Anthony. Like, this is like the whole backup point guard thing. I just don't see it. Like, he just doesn't get the team in where they need to be. He doesn't direct the team. It just feels like they have a lack of, I said this yesterday on a radio interview. I just think they have a real lack of direction on the second unit. And Rodney Hood looked good. That was the nice thing about the game against San Antonio. But like, the bench, they got dominated, and like, they really had no creation. Like, Gary Trent Jr. needs more shots, but he is not a guy that creates his own shot. He's just not that guy, really. Like, at least not.
Who do they bring in?
I don't know. I mean, Isaiah Thomas would be fun.
That's the dialogue that we have been trying to start.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems they really lack like someone who can bring the ball up and get them into something and get them a good shot, or get a shot for somebody else. And like, Melo is good and can do that sometimes, but he's their power forward. Like, I don't think it's like, and you can't ask him to be the point guard. Like, that's just not like, I don't know. Like, I just
point Melo. Bring back Mario Hezonja.
Yeah. See, like, and this is where they were last year. Like, they were better off last year, straight up, when Mario Hezonja was running the second unit than they were with Simons. And now they're going to have a month of Simons. And there's really no reason to believe that he's improved at being a point guard.
And they got to get a center. They got to sign a point guard and a center and wave somebody, or just muddle through with Enes Kanter and Harry Giles as your entire.
Well, and Covington. I think that's the other. That's the other. I think that's a viable option for a little bit. Like, I don't think that that's a long-term solution, but like, right now it might be something that they go to where they have more Covington at 5. I mean, that won them the Atlanta game. That won them the Atlanta game, and what was the other game that they just played where Melo had those big shots? Was it against Sacramento?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and he made some huge important shots, and that was with and getting big rebounds, big defensive stops. I think he also, at his age, probably better off being a backline defender and using his kind of smarts in that way than, and he can kind of do his own thing when he gets locked on to guys on switches. But I just think you're going to have to do more of that stuff and try to, beat teams with your offense, even though you lost CJ, because you don't have Nurk. I think your defense has shown that it can be better at times. They do still make a lot of mistakes. They're 25th in defense. I just don't necessarily know if that's going to get any worse. So, like, why not go with Covington at 5 more often? And I wouldn't be surprised if, I mean, I know Stotts really likes starting Cantor, and Cantor was good as the starting center for them when they went to the Western Conference Finals. I get that. I do wonder, though, at what point, if things continue to struggle off the bench, where he's like, maybe I bring Cantor off the bench to bring some scoring punch off the bench and go with Covington and Melo or something in the starting lineup, or Covington and Gary Trent Jr. or something like that.
Or start Harry Giles.
That's another option. Like, I mean, Cantor.
I think the other thing is you wait for the Andre Drummond buyout and hope he doesn't go to Brooklyn.
That would be ideal. Yeah. I mean, or a JaVale buyout. Either one of those.
Yeah.
Either one of those. I mean, Drummond. If you get Drummond, like, there's a chance Drummond takes that spot from Nurk. Like, I mean, I would, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I think Nurk is better, but like, you know, I just think Nurk this season is fighting a battle right now. He's hurt. He was, you know, he wasn't in the best shape because he had some family stuff to deal with, and I get that. But it could be a year maybe they just take a flyer on Drummond and he becomes their guy. I don't know. Like, that could be something that they could sell Drummond on too. It's like, hey man, like, if you come here, like, you're going to touch the ball. Actually, you're not going to be just like a window dressing for Kyrie and Harden and KD.
Anytime you can add a future Hall of Famer.
I mean, I do think there's a dialogue there about whether, like, if he came, like, I love Nurk. I think there's a dialogue to be had about if Drummond is like just as good as him.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly the way Nurk has been playing this season before the injury, Drummond has had a better year than he has. And
he's just healthier, I just think. Also, too, it's like, also, it's just, I don't want to put anything, like, I'm worried that he broke his right wrist. Like, it's his shooting hand. Like, and everything I read about, like, you know, recovery from a wrist is like your flexibility is not as great. And like, that's your moneymaker, man. Like, that's snapping that wrist is like, that's a key to make it being a basketball player. And like, he's a dominant right hand dominant player. And I'm worried that it's just, yes, he's going to be back in 6 weeks. I'm just worried about how he's going to be in 6 weeks if, you know, it's still taking a little while to get back to really normal. The good thing is they have Dame. I mean, that's just the best news that you can have. And I think the Hood, honestly, gives them, it's nice to have Hood. Like, it's just nice to have him. Like, the fact that they missed him so much last year, and it's just nice to have a guy that really can create, has that swagger, can post up, can do a lot of different things. Whereas, like, I feel like a lot of, you know, like Gary Trent, like, he's a great offense. He's a great shooter, and he's gotten better with his handle. I just think he's not as good off the dribble as Rodney Hood, and just like having Hood just gives them a little bit more options to do stuff. And it was good to see him. I mean, he had more points in the game against San Antonio than he had the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he might be physically kind of back to himself. You know, the first couple weeks of the season, he was kind of rusty. He looked like he was just sort of feeling his way out still, and now it seems like he's fully back. And
see that also is a little bit of a positive to me. Like, yeah, and it's also like, listen, CJ's like, yes, it's a hairline fracture in his foot, but it's not severe. Like,
right,
this is like, it could be so much worse. And it's like, I do think that like a lot of the people that are and a lot of my friends and a lot of like have been very alarmist. Like, we're wasting another year at Dame's prime. And it's like, I do think that Hood being there and being healthy this year helps them get through this a little bit better, helps them make up for the fact that the Simons thing is happening. Like, because until they get another guard, I just don't know what they're going to do. And maybe they look at the G League. I know the G League bubble, isn't the G League bubble starting soon?
Yeah, it is. Or, you know, a guy like Isaiah Thomas, or bring back Shabazz Napier.
Yeah, Shabazz is free agent.
Smith, bring back Armand Johnson. Bring back Earl Watson.
I think Nolan's a little busy being an assistant coach for Duke these days. And he's
Ronnie Price.
Ronnie Price, wow. Get the bag legend. He works for the Suns, I believe. Ronnie Price does.
Good for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course. I mean, he's an all-time good guy. Like, you knew he was going to get a job in the league as soon as he was done playing.
Him and Steve Blake are also both. Steve Blake's also in that organization.
Oh, that's right.
James Jones is the GM. It's like a former Blazer mafia there.
Really is. It's the 2007 Blazers of that one win streak when they had like that big like midseason, but they didn't make the playoffs. So, all that.
Travis Outlaw, Martell Webster.
Yes, all that stuff.
Torian Green.
Wow, that's a throwback. Florida legend Torian Green. He was on those teams with Noah and Corey Brewer and Al Horford. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I know about Torian Green. We're remembering a lot of guys right now. I do want to talk about this Giannis free throw and / jumper situation more.
That's
like, and also
I just want to thank him for signing the extension so that this makes that discourse so much more bearable.
Oh, totally. Because we can actually just talk about it on its own merits and not have to talk about what does this mean for the Milwaukee organization, the city of Milwaukee, their entire economy. It's just like,
what does it mean for the Miami Heat and Toronto Raptors cap situation?
Yeah.
And the Warriors? Is Andrew Wiggins' renaissance as a defender boosting his trade value for a potential Giannis trade?
Hey, exactly. Like we would be going through all of that shit right now because the Warriors are above 500. Like it's the perfect storm for that to be happening, and thank God it's not. But
Kelly Oubre finally not caving to the pressure of Joe Lacob's luxury tax bill. He's had a good couple of games.
Dude, I do want to talk about. I mean, I was talking about the Bucks game, but I do want to talk about that game too. I'll talk about the Bucks real quick. The game against the Nets, though, I did want to talk about the Bucks angle for a second. Just the way that they're disrespectfully guarding Giannis is insane.
They're doing the Tony Allen thing to him.
He was alone at the top of the key with nobody in front of him for like 15 feet, and he had an air ball. And I just felt so bad for the guy. And his free throw numbers are even worse. And like, did you see the story about the anecdote that there was about what his motivation was to work on his free throws?
That he would have his girlfriend run laps if he missed a free throw. That story actually while
carrying the baby.
For whatever reason, that story circulated like 2 days ago, but that was actually in the story that Malika wrote like a month ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's old. Like it just got aggregated now, but that came out like a month ago.
Oh, okay.
Like, I feel like she and Zach even talked about it on the podcast like a month ago when Giannis signed the extension. So that's been out there just for whatever reason this week everybody started talking about.
Well, I think it's because he actually had a really good game. He just had those couple of really bad viral moments that that everyone saw, and then everyone built a story off of that. And so it's, dude, I still think that they're in good shape. I like their team. I like the way that they played. I like the way that he responded with heart, in that really tight game. I thought that Middleton missed a cutting Giannis to have a chance to tie the game. I thought on that last possession, I thought Middleton could have maybe passed it to Giannis because Giannis was making a nice cut to the basket, which I love. That's the type of stuff he's got to do, because if people are just going to be like, we're going to ignore you if you're outside the key, like you got to do other things to make yourself available. And so that's one of those things. I love seeing that cut at the last second. They missed him. But I do want to talk about that Golden State Laker game that you were talking about, Kelly Oubre. I loved Steve Kerr's game plan of being like, we're just going to put Kelly Oubre on LeBron full court for the entire game. And LeBron...
And just make him work.
LeBron was so unhappy from the very moment that they were doing that. He's like, are you fucking kidding me, man? Like, he was just like not there for it at all. And I was tweeting about it from like the first quarter. I was like, even like the Lakers had run up like a 15-point lead, and it just felt so funny because LeBron was just having such a bad game. And I was like, this is a testament to how the Lakers are built this year. And it is. They are so much deeper, and they can handle LeBron not playing well. But they also showed in the fourth quarter of that game, if LeBron doesn't play well, they're not going to win. Like, LeBron's got to play well. Like, he had a shitty game, a rare shitty game. He was 6 for 16 from the field, 5 assists, 5 turnovers, like a bunch of dumb plays. Like, I thought on the last possession, before he had the 3 that he missed, he pulled back on a fast break opportunity that was super weird to me. And I thought it was just because he was gassed because of what the Warriors did to him. And like, props to Kelly Oubre and props to them. And also props to Steph, man. Like, that was he had a classic game, and he was cold early, got hot late. Like, it was a fun one, man. That was maybe my favorite game of the year so far.
It was pretty good. I think the Harden showing up totally out of shape to the Blazers opener, just dropping 44 and 17 and it going into overtime, and him and CJ trading buckets. I think that's my favorite game so far of the year. But this one was up there.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is a great that was a classic. And we were there for that one. That was cool. Like, and even Dame got in the mix there a couple times. He had a couple nice buckets. Like, it was just a fun back and forth with that one. But yeah, that was our first LeBron Steph game in over 2 years. Like, it had been since Christmas Day of 2018 that we had seen those two guys go against each other. So that also, I think, too, was fun to see after, we got that every June.
Maybe that's the 1-8. Maybe that's the 1-8 or playoff.
That would be tight, dude. That would be like, ooh, man, like that would be.
I could see the Warriors getting a couple games in that series.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, dude, that would be great. Yeah, I don't think they would win because Anthony Davis isn't going to play that poorly either. Like, he had.
I still think the Lakers are fine. They're chilling.
No, and they just had a bad night. Like, AD and LeBron. AD was 6 for 16 too, and he had a great floor game. Like, he had some great passes. But they just didn't play very well, and I wouldn't see them doing that multiple times. But credit to the Dubs, man. Like, they played their asses off on defense, and I thought made things really difficult for the Lakers in a way that I haven't seen a lot of teams do. Like, and especially for LeBron, like they just were just annoying. And I feel like a lot of teams haven't been like, let's just go annoy LeBron and let Dennis Schroeder beat us and see what happens. Because that's if I'm the other team, like it's a more compelling option. But, LeBron's in great shape, and I don't know how many NBA teams are willing to do that. But I do wonder if we're going to see more of that on teams against LeBron, to be like, we just don't want you to destroy us.
Did you see Luke Walton's comments yesterday?
Oh, yeah, dude. Just when you thought he couldn't get more cringe, he says that he doesn't really believe in vaccines in general, which was...
And specifically in children. He thinks children get them too young, based on research that he's done.
Classic. Love.
Got to do your own research.
You got to do your own research. Just as we saw today with the QAnon folks, is that you always have to do your own research.
At least Luke Walton's a really good coach, though, and the Kings have a really good defense that isn't giving up historically, high point totals to opponents.
Yeah, damn, I'm looking at their number right now. I did not know that was that.
It's rough.
I did not know it was that bad. Well, they're saving the Blazers' bacon right now because the Blazers' defense has been bad. But man, yeah, that was so cringy. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, why would you say that, man? Like, ugh.
That begs the question: do you think Bill's an anti-vaxxer?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, he is. I
kind of don't want to know.
I don't want to know. I'm not going to ask him. And it's one of those things that I don't want to ask him. Yeah. I mean,
right.
He does love modern medicine. He's had, he had a really big back surgery. Maybe he believes in medicine. I'm not, I wouldn't be surprised if he believed in medicine, but, and maybe it kind of went a little sideways with Luke. That could have happened. I'm going to choose. Yeah, I'm going to choose to believe that is what happened, because I don't want to know.
Okay.
I prefer to stand Bill Walton, and I don't.
Of course, yeah. I
don't want to find any reasons not to stand.
Bill Walton can't be canceled.
I want to give a shout out to a team that we frequently do not respect, but
the Jazz.
They have been worthy of respect as of late. The Utah Jazz, winners of.
Oh, I'm absolutely respecting the Jazz. Tied for second in the West.
Mike
Conley looks good again.
They got Bojan back. Jordan Clarkson looks like he has always needed to be in a Utah Jazz jersey. Just seems like
sixth man of the year, front runner probably.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, he's been great. Also, I mean, they got a deep bench, man. They got 8 guys that I'm like, ooh, man, those guys are good. Like Ingles, you got Favors, you got Clarkson, and then you got whatever the hell, George Niang and all those other cast of characters. Royce O'Neals of the world. but like they have guys that I would like. I want those guys on my team. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they have guys that I believe in, and I have. They're playing really really well right now, and they handled the Pelicans last night. They're just a really good team, and I think that and Mitchell I think has made a real leap as a passer this season. Like his passing, with the stuff he's been able to do. I mean, we saw some of it in that opener here in Portland when they won by 30, but he's making some really nice passes. I think he's doing a better job of getting Gobert involved offensively and getting more of those lob plays for him. And they've really worked through that kind of turmoil, and now they're on the other side of it, and they're kicking butt. They're 10-4. This is, major props to them. I know we like to make jokes about the Jazz, but they're no joke. Like, if they stay healthy as they are, they're right there with the Clippers as a legitimate contender. And I mean, they're just a really good team. I love this Jazz team.
Memphis has been pretty fun since Ja came back.
Yes, and yes, they have been more fun. I'm loving Ja. They're going to be in the mix. I mean they hung in there even without him for a while. They won a couple games here and there, and they just hung around. And having Ja back obviously gives them that extra something special. And if they ever get Jaren Jackson back, like that would be even better. And right now the West, it seems like outside of those top three teams right now, it seems wide open. Like Phoenix is hitting a skid right now. San Antonio is doing well, but maybe they struggle at a point, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, even though they're playing really well. Golden State, again, we've talked about what their troubles are and how, they're not that great offensively, but they're figuring out ways to win games. And but I think the rest of these teams, even Golden State, Portland, San Antonio, include like those teams. I think Phoenix might be a little tier ahead of them. I don't know. I like Phoenix a lot, but
Phoenix has been good.
Yeah, I like Phoenix a lot, even though they've lost 2 straight. I still like Phoenix a lot, but the rest of those teams,
I think Houston's going to be bad still, but like Oladipo looked pretty good in his debut.
That was nice to see, but I don't think they're going to be very good either. I just think the vibes there are really bad, no matter who they have on that roster. But what I'm saying is, like, Memphis could be the 5 seed. I would not be surprised. Like the West is so wide open, like, because none of these teams are playing consistently at all.
New Orleans is kind of hard to get a read on also.
I don't, they're just not very good. I mean, they're not very good on, I mean, they've gotten better on defense, but their offense kind of struggles. Ingram has not played very well. Zion is still having trouble, I think, sometimes against NBA length. Like it's not as easy for him to just dunk on people all the time. And he's a good playmaker and he does a lot of other things, but I think that's one of his primary things and one of his primary ways to score. And it's just not that easy for him. And I think that's partially why it's been hard. I think Lonzo has had a tough year. I don't know about the Pelicans right now, man. I mean, I don't know what else Stan can really do.
Indy's another one that this Miles Turner injury is rough, but also a shout out to Caris LeVert's family. They found the mass on his kidney that caught.
Thank God.
By the way, new dialogue. James Harden forcing a trade might have saved Caris LeVert's life because he only got that physical because he was getting traded.
So, shout out to James Harden for saving Caris LeVert's life, perhaps. So,
hopefully it's not like
hopefully it's not like
serious.
that bad, but hopefully. But hey, he got something, and maybe they can fix it, or they can take care of it. They're going to have surgery. I think I saw Kevin Pritchard said.
Yeah.
But the Pacers are also really good. Like that's an amazing. Like they are a really, really good team. Another team.
The Miles Turner a broken hand is going to hurt them.
It is going to hurt them. That's for sure. And he was playing better this year. I know I called him Hassan Whiteside with the green light. He was doing much better than that.
That's an L for you.
It was an L for me. But Sabonis is still good as hell. Brogdon is still good as hell. They, if they get LeVert back at some point during the season, that's awesome. And they still don't have TJ Warren. Like they've got these guys, like Edmund Sumner has just been like this guy who just like comes off the bench and's like, I think the Pacers are really, they're really kind of did Toronto like adjacent, like they just like pull these guys out of a hat and all of a sudden they're like really good.
Miami is kind of in the same. They're all kind of the Spurs blueprint of just finding guys.
Yeah, they just have guys and Bjork. I love watching some of the stuff that Bjork does. Like against the Clippers, they were getting cooked, and he was trying to figure out something to do to slow him down. And he says, "All right, we'll do triangle and two we'll have two guys following Kawhi and PG all the time, and then we'll just zone up three guys in the middle." And it didn't always work, but I loved it. It was just fun, and he's willing to try other things when what he has planned is not working. And like, I love that about Bjork and also Nick Nurse. But yeah, it is, I don't know. I do like watching the Pacers. They're a fun team this year.
Yeah. Got anything else, or is it kind of a...
I think I might be vindicated about my Atlanta Hawks skepticism.
Yeah. I mean, I know they've had some injuries, but yeah, they've kind of fallen off a little bit.
Yeah, that's been one thing. The Hornets have struggled.
Your Hornets are still hanging around.
My Hornets are
struggling lately. They're still hanging it.
LaMelo looks like a lock to be the rookie of the year at this point.
I think so.
Just he's like leading every rookie in all the stats. The Celtics are holding at 8-4, currently first in the East without Tatum for the last, because he tested positive. And so, he's been out.
Shout out to his family.
Yeah, shout out to him. And Jaylen Brown has been great. I mean, I know they lost the other day to the Knicks.
Kemba's back finally.
Yes, that is nice. And I think maybe that was it was just kind of like a get acclimated game for them, maybe getting Kemba back into the fold. And also the Knicks just play really hard. Like you're not going to be able to, the Knicks are, you're not going to be able to like get right against the Knicks. You know what I mean? And get out with a win. Yeah, they're sixth right now. So shout out to them. And I'm excited for this. I mean, we're not going to talk about it right after, but I'm excited for this Kyrie experiment because, I mean, they might see it and maybe it doesn't work and maybe Kyrie's on the market. Who knows? Like I think the Brooklyn situation is still very fluid.
Oh, it definitely is. And I think our Patreon episode this week, you texted me the other day about a comparison that Kelsey made to Kyrie.
Uh-huh.
And that made me think that we need to have another Kelsey check-in because it's been a couple months.
There you go. Yeah. No, hey.
So I think this Patreon also, like, you guys are like today before we started recording, you guys are watching the Tiger Woods documentary. I watched that over the weekend.
Yeah, we'll do a little movie club, book club kind of thing.
Tiger Chat.
Yeah, Tiger Chat. I want to get to the Michael Jordan part of it. Isn't there some good MJ stuff as well?
There's a little. It's not a ton, but it's just like he was one of the guys that Tiger rolls with, and like they go hard.
Right. Of course,
that's kind of all it is. Like Jordan obviously isn't in the
right. He's not. He didn't do it. He didn't do an interview. I mean, for what it looks like right now, from what I've watched, it's like they did some modern day interviews, but then a lot of the stuff they pieced together from old.
Yeah, I mean, Tiger didn't talk, obviously.
Yeah, no. I mean, anytime HBO is doing a documentary on you, unless you're Diego Maradona and you're like, I am an open book, and you can do whatever the hell you want because he didn't care about his brand or whatever. Like, unless you're that, like, you're not going to do it. You're not going to comply with an HBO documentary about you.
Right. So we'll talk about that. We'll bring Kelsey in. We'll talk about Kyrie stuff. We'll talk about just what I mean. There's stuff that we want to get Kelsey's perspective on. Has there
Definitely.
been not to get into specifics, but has there been any updates on the story that we wanted to bring her on for that we won't speak of?
I'm honestly not remembering what story you're talking about. So
the one involving somebody adjacent to the LeBron wire beat.
Oh, I don't, dude. Again, I'm blanking. I'm sorry. This is not good radio right now. I'm sorry, guys, but no. This is, yeah. I don't remember, Sean. Honestly, you're gonna have to remind me off air, so we don't, I don't want to spill the beans on the end of this podcast. But
I'm texting you right now.
Okay. Oh yeah, of course. Well, no, yeah, there's no updates. I don't think there's any updates. I mean, there was not any updates specific to that part of it, but there were some NBA related angles to that story.
Okay.
But
well, we'll talk about that with Kelsey.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
that's for the family.
Yeah, that's for the family. So subscribe, $3 a month. You get 4 episodes. Even when we don't do the free pod, we always do the Patreon pod because we always look out for the family.
We're a family first organization.
Yeah, we are a family first program, family first organization, family first franchise. Hopefully the basketball gets better. Get the vaccine, NBA. Get the vaccine, you folks out there, if you can. That's all I have to say is get the vaccine. And hopefully the basketball will start to get a little bit better, and teams will start to get a little healthier.
And in closing,